and welcome to the Chrissy B Show. Tonight we'll be speaking about when love isn't enough. Now, sometimes people say that love can conquer all, and as long as there's love, there's no problem that can't be sorted out. But if that's the case, why are so many couples getting divorced every single day? The most recent case, of course, as we've all heard about, is Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes, who filed for divorce after 5 years of marriage. Well, it's lasted longer than most celebrity marriages. Now, this will be the first divorce for Holmes and the third for Tom Cruise. And she's actually seeking sole custody of their daughter, Sue, as you all know. Now, why is this problem happening all the time? Now, Cruise has declared his love on Oprah. She jumped all over the sofa. That was very, very embarrassing, I think, for everyone that was watching. So what happened between all that sort of loved up affection that he was shown on TV to what's happened today? Now, according to the Office for National Statistics, the number of divorces in England and Wales has increased by 4.9% last year. And that means there's 125 divorces in 2011. That's absolutely ridiculous. Now, divorce, of course, is complicated, it's very time-consuming and very expensive. One example is Rupert and Anna Murdoch, who were married for 32 years, and her settlement cost him $1.7 billion. So, tonight on the show, if you want to actually call up, you can at any point on calling 020-7686-6300. You can also email me on chris@chrissybshow.tv, and you can also Facebook me as well on the Chrissy B Show. Now, tonight I have two guests with me. The first one is Lisa Marie, who you all met on Monday. Now, she's actually a divorcee. She married quite young, and she's going to be telling us about how things developed for her, why, you know, what problems that she went through, and what eventually led to divorce. And we also have a relationship advisor, James Marques, as well with us, who's going to be speaking about the 5 fastest ways that you can head for divorce. So, good evening, both of you.
Hi.
Thank you for coming on.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah. So, Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes, what do you think the problem was there, guys?
Can I just point out that you said there that divorce has gone up by 4.9%, but we have to remember that people are not getting married as much as they were before. So actually the picture could be a lot worse than that.
Right,
yeah,
okay.
That's true.
So celebrities, now they're always getting married, they're always divorcing, getting back together, divorcing again. What do you think the problem is with celebrities in general?
I think some people are just in love with getting married rather than being in love with a person. You know, you get so hyped up of the big day, you know, that a lot of them, they get married so quickly as well. They may have only been with that person for a few months, and then they're talking about marriage, and then it's like 56 bridesmaids and, you know, the longest train known to man. And then as soon as all the dust has settled down, when actually real life is kicked in, they're realising, oh, actually, I'm stuck with this person, and maybe I don't like even how he brushes his teeth in the morning, but so now I don't even want to be with him at all.
But don't we all love celebrity marriages? Because it just seems so like romantic, and like this, that the way they met, and then we see the, you know, all the photographs of them together going out for dinner, and we think, oh, that's so nice and so sweet, and there's hope for it gives hope to people. But then all of a sudden, a few years later, they're already getting divorced. I mean, who would have thought?
Yeah,
that's
the part that you see, right? You see that part of them going out and having the dinner in the amazing restaurants, right? The celebrity lifestyle that you want to have, and that sounds great. The thing is, that's not the marriage, that's not the daily life they have. The daily life happens behind closed doors. So you see the part that is beautiful. Everybody wants that. You want to be, you know, ushered out of a limo. You want to go into the best restaurants that you won't be able to get a reservation for love nor money unless you have that status. But the thing, that's not the marriage. The thing is, no matter how much money you have, marriage is the same whether you have £1 million in your bank account or whether you have £10. It's two people trying to make it work in a home. So whether you're a celebrity or not, you're going to have the same challenges, the same problems. And as Lisa said, I think one of the problems is that the celebrities, they live in this environment of making people feel emotions. Movies and songs, it's all about emotions. You hear a nice song, you cry, you remember a time where you were dating someone, where you were living in a certain place. It's all about emotions. And I think sometimes celebrities, they live so much in that environment that they make decisions on relationships based on emotions rather than intelligent intelligent decisions, let's put it like that.
Yeah. But you kind of think, like, when the kids come along, like in Tom Cruise's case and Katie Holmes, you think, oh, you know, they've had a daughter now, things that might sort of hold people together. But even with that, now what is this poor child going to go through? When she's only, was it 5, 6 years old,
I think 6 maybe, if that. She's now going to be, it's like all eyes on her. I mean, all eyes were on her anyway, because they kept putting her in these ridiculous little heels, I think, for like a 3 or 4 year old girl. And now all eyes are going to be on her, especially because of his background. And I think everyone is really all up in this Scientology thing right about now. And that's the reason why she has filed for divorce in New York rather than in the city where I think it's California where they were, because she's got a better chance of being away from that and to be able to get sole custody. But that doesn't mean that him, with all his big money and celebrity backers, that he's not going to try and do the same thing. So this poor girl, that's when all the money has been, 'cause I think it's about 180 million they've got, his fortune is. So after that, this poor girl is just going to be passed backwards and forwards between these two people.
Now, an interesting fact that I found out today, and you already knew, James, somehow with all your information. All 3 of his wives filed for divorce at the same age. So Mimi Rogers, 33 years old, Nicole Kidman, 33 years old, and now Katie Holmes. And that is a bit spooky, I think. That's a bit weird, isn't it?
A little bit, yeah.
What's going on quite a bit.
I think
something wrong with the number 33, or
is that when they're actually waking up?
I hope not, because I'm going to be 33. That's shortly, so I hope not, but I don't think that's a problem. And just going back to the children you were talking about, I think it's important to speak here, to say that a lot of people hope that having a child will fix problems in the marriage, and that's a big mistake, because if you don't have time to solve problems in a marriage when you're alone with that person, how are you going to have time to solve the problems when you have another person that comes in? You're going to have less time to talk, less time to invest in your relationship. So actually, children should come into a marriage when the marriage is solid, and that makes it better. It doesn't, having children doesn't solve problems. It actually, you bring a child into a problem, and then everybody starts suffering.
That's a really good point as well. And obviously there's other celebrities as well that where children were involved. But let's just go through some of the other celebrities, the well-known ones. Like obviously we had, I think it was earlier this year, Ashton Kutcher and Demi Moore. Now they were always talking on like Twitter, and like everyone was seeing their love conversations. They seemed so much in love, and then he ends up cheating on her. And then she ends up, I think she was hospitalized actually after the split. So, you know, what happened there again? Although the age difference was quite big, and I know I don't want to be too controversial. Actually, I would be controversial. Because sometimes it doesn't work when you have someone, especially the lady, so much older than the guy, and especially with celebrities. It doesn't normally work. What do you guys think?
I think it was a bit strange when they got together as well, because even I remember one of her daughters said at the time that she used to have posters of Ashton Kutcher on her wall, and now this guy is now her stepdad. I mean, that's a bit weird. Very creepy. Yeah. And I think just from the offset, it's almost like she was trying to almost like relive her youth as well, because then her ex-hubby, he was with a younger model as well after he left her, and maybe she's trying to sort of compete. Maybe. Do you
think that's why all the plastic surgery and stuff like that?
Yeah, because it's like I remember when she came back in that film, Charlie's Angels, and it was just like, wow, this is a completely different woman. She's like half the size she was. Everything was nipped, tucked, and sucked, and all that rest of it. And then she's got a young guy on her arm.
Well, in that case, love didn't conquer all, because at the end of the day, if a woman is that much older, and I'm really sorry if you do have a younger husband or partner, but at the end, if it's like 20 years, 30 years, something like that, the age is going to catch up with you. And I think it takes a very, very confident woman to go out with someone that's a lot younger than her.
And I'm always suspicious with celebrities that post all their love things on Twitter, because it's almost as if they're trying to keep up a facade and let everyone know that yes, we are in love, we are making an effort.
Publicity.
Because if you are really, if your relationship is all that, like that's why I kind of respect Chris Martin and Gwyneth Paltrow, because they are rumoured to have like one of the strongest marriages or unions in the celebrity world.
But you never know. Maybe they're going to be the next ones on the news saying, we've broken up.
But also they don't you know, keep anything out there. Whatever goes on between the two of them is between the two of them. They never did the whole celebrity pictures, marriage type thing, celebrity endorsement. You don't always see them out together. They do their thing behind closed doors. I think it was on the news today that he, during a concert, he left the stage to go and kiss her, and everyone's like, that's a big thing, because you don't see them do any kind of public displays of affection either.
Yeah. Okay, well, what do you guys think at home? If you want to give us a call at any point during this show, if you'd like to ask our advisor a question, or if you want to put your case across as well, what do you think is the main cause leading people to divorce nowadays? You can give us a call on 020-7686-6300, or you can email on chris@chrissybshow.tv. Just one more before we go to the break. One that probably people weren't expecting, I think it broke a lot of hearts, was obviously Prince Charles and Princess Diana. Now, all that big hoo-ha, that massive wedding, you know, the long train, the dress, everything, and it's like it all just broke down in the end, which is obviously, I think it was hard for, I think, as a nation to see that. It was very public and very...
I think most men won't understand the swap that he did. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but, you know, Princess Diana...
What are you trying to say?
And Camilla, we're not trying to... you know, be rude or anything, but I think most men would have said, you know, Princess Diana is more beautiful, has a better appearance. I know that appearance is not everything. We don't know what led them to divorce. And just one thing, Chris, you know, one of the biggest reasons why couples divorce is problems with money. Now we have to think that problems with money is not just shortage of money, sometimes could be a lot of money, and that money becomes a third person in the marriage. So that could be a factor as well why celebrities can't stay together when money plays a bigger part than the person in your relationship. For example, you know...
Hold on to that thought, because we're just going to go to a quick break. And also afterwards, James is also going to be revealing his 5 top fastest ways to head for divorce, and Lisa Marie is going to be speaking about her own relationship and how that broke down. So join us after this break.
I'll call it. As a matter of fact, lose my number.
I am sick and tired of your mess.
Go ahead, walk out.
And you bring around my child.
You will never see Jessica again.
I am going to disconnect this phone. You will not hear from me or my kids again.
I hate you, and I'm going to make sure that your son hates you, David, and me will be away from you forever. Do you hear me? Forever.
We are not married anymore. I don't have to tell you what I'm doing. I don't have to tell you where I'm going or what I'm doing with my kids.
All I care about is my son, not a single dollar of child support. Go ahead, walk out.
I don't need you. I never needed you.
Do you hear me? This is not over. I could care less about you.
Wait and leave us alone. I don't care what you do.
But you will never see your son again.
Some disturbing images now, and a lot of people right now are going through the very thing. They're not able to communicate anymore. They can't sit down and have a normal conversation, and things are just getting worse and worse. But hopefully the tips that we're going to hear tonight as well will hopefully help you if you are going for any problems. So you shouldn't keep it to yourself. You need to speak to someone if you are going for that and you can't sort things out yourselves. Now, James, you're going to speak to us now about the top ways of heading for divorce fast. And obviously, people, you get it right. You're supposed to do the opposite of this. All right, so talk us through the first point.
Well,
then.
if we can have the first one on screen, and I'll go through it. So first thing, if you want to get divorced really fast, now that you're together, take each other for granted and don't invest in your relationship anymore. So this is a top one, because, you know, people tend to make all the efforts in the relationship before they get married or before they get together. And I mean, they put a lot of effort into their appearance, into how fresh their breath is, how trimmed their hair is, and the clothes they're wearing. And it seems like after the marriage, that's not important anymore. And we're not just talking about the appearance, but of course, if to conquer the person, you put so much effort into the relationship, it's actually more difficult to keep something than it is to achieve it. Right? So if you really want to keep that marriage, you need to invest in that person. You need to invest time, you need to invest effort. It's not easy, right? I personally, I've made mistakes in my marriage, in my relationship, my wife. We have made mistakes. But the thing is, you cannot take that relationship for granted. You can't say, I know her already so well, I don't need to do much anymore. You need to invest. See your marriage as your greatest investment. Okay, money comes and goes, but marriage is something that should last until the day you die.
Unfortunately as well, I know, for example, I have a family member that the wife was actually thinking of leaving the husband, but she kind of didn't verbalize what she was going through. So you might not actually know that your partner is actually feeling like they're being taken for granted. They might not say anything. Most people, I think, would complain or at least say something. And I think it's important for couples to pick up on that. So if your partner is moaning, don't just say, oh God, here she goes again. She's just going on and on and on and she's so boring. Or, you know, vice versa as well. I think we need to pick up on those little signs. But then obviously as well, in the case where the partner doesn't say anything, don't just think everything's okay. You've still got to invest. You've still got to do whatever you can do, isn't it?
Yeah, and you know, part of the problem is the person thinking, you know, I am who I am. You have to take me for who I am. You can't say that, because marriage is about pleasing the other person. So if it is about pleasing the other person, you're not pleasing them a lot if you say I am what I am, right? If it makes you happy that I dress a certain way, if it makes you happy that I behave in a certain way. For example, men don't like to talk. Men like to talk, but men like to talk about things that don't really matter. Honestly, I mean, we like to talk about things that don't matter. We like to talk about football. We like to talk about cars.
Why don't men like talking about deep things?
It's
like,
Chris.
It's really frustrating sometimes. It's
you
annoying.
know, put it like this: a man is a spoon, a woman is a fork. You can't make a spoon to be a fork. We are what we
try,
are.
don't we?
Yeah.
Yes, but okay, we don't like to talk. We will never like to talk. But if I know that you like me to talk as my spouse, as my partner, then I will try to do that. I don't like it. It doesn't make me happy, but if it makes you happy, then I'll do it. And that's what it's called to invest in a marriage. If you do that, you already have a great foundation to make your marriage work.
Now, Lisa, is this something that you went through in your marriage? Because how long were you married for?
It's about 5 years in total.
5 years, okay.
Yeah.
Were things good in the beginning, when that like dating period and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, I was young when I met my husband. I was 17 when I first met him, and was probably about 18
young,
when we first started dating, because he'd known my brother for about a year or two previously. So I knew of him, but wasn't really that close with him until we started dating. And yeah, everything was nice in the beginning. It was good in the beginning, and then after we got married, things were nice to start with. But then it was as well part of the not investing in the relationship, because then as time went on, different things happened. So like we were saying earlier about money being an issue. Remember, he lost his job, so things like that can, you know, really affect somebody and put somebody.
But did
down.
you ever think while you were dating that maybe he wasn't the right one for you? Were you sure that he was the right one at the time?
I thought he
Were there
was.
Signs like maybe?
See, I thought he was the right one, but then me myself was probably a bit naive. I mean, he was my first boyfriend, so I think when I was growing up, I didn't really have a lot of confidence. So when I was 18, thinking that I kind of like knew who I was a bit more, but it turns out that probably if I looked closer at the time, I would have seen certain things that I didn't like or didn't quite agree with, but glossed them over because I thought that I was, you know, maybe just making a mountain out of a molehill, when actually if I'd picked up on those things, then it probably be, I wouldn't have made the decision to get married. But well, we did, and you know, we think it's all nice and everything seems to go well, but like I said about the money troubles and that at first to start putting a kind of problem in the marriage. But then he would go out not wearing his wedding ring.
Really?
At first, yeah.
Oh, what did you say when you first saw that?
See, at first he said it was because it was slightly too big, but then he got it sized, so there was no reason why he wouldn't wear it, but then it'd just be on and off, he wouldn't wear it. And then it's like sometimes he would go out, I wouldn't know where he's going, when he's coming back. There was one point I remember we were at my family's house, and my brother had asked him to look at something on his phone, and I had the phone, and then I checked messages and I'm finding that there's different things for different people that I was like wasn't expecting either. and like different messages from other girls. Even some of them were pretty innocent, but it was still like, why are you
I don't care, innocent
other
or not, I don't want my husband to be getting, I'm sorry, call me jealous if you want, but I don't want my husband getting text messages from other women.
Exactly.
And I would be upset and I would say something. Sorry, that's me. Yeah.
And I did, and it's like he at first kind of made out that I was making more of a big deal out of it than it was, but then I felt like I was the one putting effort into it. And then because I was quite young and I didn't want other people to kind of think that I was a failure, so when things were starting to go wrong, I didn't you know, reach out for help for other people as you know, maybe I should have done. But you're trying to think that, you know, I made my decision, now I've really got to get on with it, and I don't want other people to see me being such a failure in this way.
Okay.
So
and sorry, Chris, something important that Lisa was saying. She was talking about the signs, right? I mean, there are signs that don't really matter. There are signs that do matter. For example, is it important that if you're dating someone, you know, the person doesn't wash his hair every day? Is that important? Probably not that important. It's not a deal breaker. When you get married, you can make him do that, right?
Some shampoo.
Is it important that he's not putting, that he's not wearing his wedding ring? That's very important. So, you know, things like, you know, he's not as tall as I wanted. He's not as, you know, I don't know, strong as I wanted. It's not probably a deal breaker, but little things that have to do with the character, that's what you have to look at.
Okay. Can you go to the next point now?
Yes, I can. So if we can put it on screen, we'll go through it. So the second one is, if there's a pressing problem that needs to be resolved, don't worry. You can always talk about it tomorrow. Now, I have to say, I have to put my hand up and say that I'm guilty of this one, right? I have been many times. If I have a problem with my wife, we have a disagreement, my initial reaction is go to sleep, and tomorrow we'll wake up and we forgot about it.
Women don't do that.
Women don't do that.
Oh my gosh, I hate that.
Yeah.
If I have an issue with my husband, I want to talk about it there and then, because I can't sleep. I won't be able to feel comfortable. I want to just, you know, get back to normal and just give him a hug and like. So I think it's a woman thing as well. It's really hard for us to kind of leave it for tomorrow.
And this thing of leaving it for tomorrow, you know, I'll go to sleep. I won't talk to you tonight. I'm very angry at you. Tomorrow morning when I wake up, I'm fine. And when you wake up, you're not fine.
No.
Because it's still there.
So fine. I've been given the silent treatment the whole night.
Exactly. Yeah. So the thing is, I had to learn from experience that this doesn't work. And as much as we don't like, I wouldn't say confrontation, but putting the problem out on the table, even if it's uncomfortable, if it's unpleasant, and you don't like to deal with it, you have to do it. The quicker you do it, it's like removing a Band-Aid, right? Yeah. A plaster. The quicker you remove it, the easier it is.
Okay. And the third point. Let's go to the third point now.
All right. So
I'm going to get some statistics up actually as well while you're speaking about that.
We can have the third one on the screen, and we'll go through the third one. Right. When in doubt, ask your mum. So this is a big one. This is.
I think it could also say mum, friend, sister.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah,
so,
anyone.
I mean, look. You know, I got married quite young. I got married when I was 21. That's quite young for today's standards. But a lot of the problems we have found in advising people is that they say, you know, Pastor, or you know, James, I was talking to my wife. We were having a problem, and I called my mom for a family meeting. And you don't call your mom for a family meeting. You solve the problem. It's between you and the person. Don't ask your mom or your friend or your colleague.
But don't they like? Okay, I know you're not supposed to say everything to your to your like in-laws or whatever. But in some, because some people might say, what's wrong with just confiding in a friend or just getting some help from a family because they've got more experience. They've been married. They've got a successful marriage. What is the problem in talking to them?
The main problem is that the friend you're confiding in also has a friend. Right?
Okay.
And that means that you confide it to the friend, and that friend is going to confide your problems to someone else. So by the end of next week, everyone in your neighborhood is going to know what's happening inside your house. And the second problem is that if you have a problem in a company, with your boss or with a colleague, you solve it with the two people that matter. You don't bring someone else into the conversation. So why should you solve a family problem or a marriage problem bringing your mom or your cousin in?
But also you're helping them to get a negative view of your partner, because it might be
that's the intention.
But then that's what causes the problem, because depending on obviously how big the problem is, but then when you have finished spewing your guts out to that person, you then make up with your partner and everything is cool, everything's fine with you, but that person still has that negative view of them. And then if you go back to him with someone else, but we told you what he was like, you told us about the last time, and he's done it again and again and again.
That is a big one as well.
Now, I know, James, you've got 2 more points to share with us, but that's going to be after the break. So don't forget, if you have any questions for our advisor here, you can email on chris@chrissybshow.tv or give us a call 020 7686 6300. After the break, I'm going to read to you as well a few interesting facts about divorces and one of the top reasons as well for divorce. So join us after this break. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, and today we're talking about when love isn't enough. So let me just read a few stats for you. As you know, as you're probably aware, one of the top reasons for divorce is infidelity, and it's saying here that nearly 70% of all married men and 60% of married women have had affairs. That's 2 out of every 3 marriages. That's crazy. And it also says more than 90% of divorces in long-standing marriages involve infidelity sometime during the marriage. And interestingly, 80% of those who divorce during an affair regret the decision. Right, so that's food for thought there. And also, for the ones that actually divorce their partner and marry the person that they had an affair with, over 75% of those relationships also end in divorce. So is it really worth, you know, leaving your partner or not working at it? Obviously, I can understand if it's something like abuse or something like that. That's not a healthy relationship to stay in. But otherwise, I think it really takes you need to work at your marriage, because look at these statistics. But before we continue with the next 2 points that our relationship advisor is going to speak about, and before Lisa talks more about what happened to her, let's check out the place we visited recently, not just for the food, but for the unusual surroundings as well. Let's take a look. Here with Matt, who's the general manager here of the Ice Bar in Hedden Street, and we just thought we'd had to check this place out because it is unusual. And so Matt, how did the idea actually come about for this ice bar?
Well, 3 guys got together one day and said, let's do an ice bar. They'd seen the Ice Hotel, they knew what it was all about, and the Ice Hotel is really the mother of the ice bar. And that's how it all came about.
Okay, so Matt, we're in the downstairs part now, and I don't see any ice here, so what's this area for here?
Well, this is our lovely warm lounge bar and restaurant, so let's have a look. So this is the Reindeer Lounge. It's a lovely little intimate room. I think it's great because you feel like you're really in the thick of it. You've got the cocktail bartenders working in their magic behind the bar. You've got the DJ behind us. It's a really great place to lose a few hours.
Wow, look at this. What's the temperature down here? Because I'm starting to get quite cold.
Yeah, the temperature is about -6 or -7. 40 minutes at -7 is generally enough for most people. After that, join us for dinner, join us for a drink, get warm. That's the idea. It's, the heart of our concept is the ice, and the ice that comes from northern Sweden, from this beautiful river called the River Torne. It's where we harvest all the ice and make all the glasses and all the walls, and you can see the ice. It's just there's all these beautiful stress marks from where it was formed in this river, and you can't make that. It's completely natural.
Making me cold just looking at that, but it was a really interesting place to go. So back to our guests for this evening. So James, you've gone through 3 points so far, so you have another 2 for our viewers. But before before you go there, let me see if I can find the email that came through. Okay, this person's asking, I would like to talk things over with my husband, but he pretends that everything is okay, typical man, and avoids any serious conversations. Things are definitely not okay. What do I do?
Well, I'm not really sure what you mean by things are not okay. That could be, you know, many different problems. But, you know, if the more you try to force him to talk, the less he will. So the idea is for you to try to make him want to talk, if that makes sense. You know, usually a good idea, a good exercise for that is to do something he really likes to do. For example, if he's a person who, a man who likes to watch football, you know, prepare some nice snacks while he's watching his favorite match, and after that is over, hopefully his team will win as well. That helps.
What if it doesn't?
If it doesn't, then let's say that,
try something else.
his team does. Then at the end, while he's quite happy, you have to try to bring up a topic that you think is concerning you, concerning your marriage. That could be anything else. If he likes to go out to a certain place, you can go there and don't even bring anything up until he's very happy and very, you know, relaxed. And at the end, you can try to bring up the subject. Men work like this. The more you try to make them talk, if they want to, the less they will. So you have to show.
Why don't they just tell us that?
Well, I am.
They don't talk.
I am telling you now.
So secrets on the show here.
You have to show that you are on his side, right? Okay. He has to feel that you are, you understand why he doesn't want to talk, but that it's important to, and hopefully he will.
Okay, thanks for that. Lisa, is that a problem that you had? Did you try to speak to your other half at the time and he wouldn't open up?
But then I found he was quite cagey about a few things. Like when he first lost his job, he didn't actually tell me all the whys and wherefores. It was only later on when tidying up I discovered certain things. So he was very cagey about a lot of stuff. But then I think almost that he probably didn't know who he was as well going into the relationship, that we did get married too young. Because then it's like when he lost his job, he got a job working in a barber shop with other people that he used to be around, and then everything started changing. So the mannerism, how he talked, how he dressed,
did
how
you
he
just go into his shell
himself.
more and more then, like?
Yeah, so, or that whoever he was sharing it with being one way with his friends, but coming home, or when he did come home, you know, I barely saw him or didn't know the person who was actually coming home. And then the landlady where we were staying, she's also a family friend on his side, and when we had finally like made a decision to divorce, or when I left, it's like she said to me, I didn't know what was happening. She's like, I used to see the two of you. You were staying the same, but he was changing into somebody that I didn't even know. And so many people that like he knew growing up, they tried to speak to him, tried to help him. He didn't want to know. So he just totally went in his shell around certain people and then became who he wanted to be with others.
Okay, that's sad.
Very.
Okay, so James, the next point for us, please.
Okay, the next one is something that most people will not like, but let's go into it anyway. It says, remember, flirting is harmless and it's just a bit of fun. I have heard many people say this. Flirting is not harmless and it's not just a little bit of fun. Flirting to you may feel like a little bit of fun, but for a person who's been alone, single, without anyone for a while, that is the most attention from anyone that she's received or that he's received in a long time. And he will get the wrong signals. And forget about signals, forget about the person getting the wrong idea. You shouldn't be flirting. You can flirt as much as you want with your partner, right? It's good that you flirt with your partner. It makes the relationship healthy, not with anybody else, okay? That doesn't work. It's like if you work for me, if I'm your boss, and I see you calling from my office to another company that you want to work for them, and you tell me that you just wanted to know if they had a position available. That doesn't sound very good, right? So flirting is not harmless and is not just a little bit of fun. Usually it always leads to something else that it turns into this.
But it's very common though, isn't it? Especially in workplaces and amongst friends as well. People just see it as something normal.
They do, but it's a total disrespect to your partner, you know, whoever it is that you're with. Because I remember in one of my other workplaces, and there's this one guy, and we all knew him as a big flirt. And one day he told us that he was actually in a relationship for 8 months, and everyone was shocked because they were like, how you carry on, it's not as if you would in a relationship. And he was the same, like saying, oh, it's just a bit of fun, it doesn't matter. So I said to him, but if your girlfriend was right there, would you be saying the same things that you say to these girls in front of your girlfriend? To which he couldn't answer to, because he wouldn't.
And so you should have said, I'm going to tell your girlfriend.
Oh, I did. He didn't like that.
And I think the question is, how would the person feel if the flirting would be done from the other side? If their partner would be flirting with somebody else, how would they feel? I mean, it's a bit of fun, but if you see your partner doing that with another man or another woman, I'm sure you wouldn't like it.
Okay, we've got about 5 minutes left of the show, so I know that you've got one last point to talk about, James.
And this last one for me, it's the most important. So it is, don't bother solving situations that crop up. There are plenty more fish in the sea. That means, you know, if you have a problem, you have a stumbling block in the marriage, don't worry, you can just call it quits, just get divorced and find somebody else. And, you know, I'll be honest with you, every marriage, no matter who it is, that tells you, I'm not going to sit here as a relationship advisor and tell you that I've never had problems in my marriage, because that would be a lie. There's always an adaptation period. There are differences between two people, differences of opinion, and there are clashes. So if every time you have a clash, if every time you have a problem, you quit something, you will never ever get anywhere. And the same thing goes for marriage, whether it's your career, whether it's you know, a hobby, whether it's a sports. If you quit something because you're having a problem, you will never get anywhere. So you will have problems in marriage. It doesn't mean the person is not for you. You will have disagreements. It doesn't mean that the person is not for you. What you do is you solve the problem. You don't get married to get divorced. You get married to stick with it until the end. If you solve the problem, you're going to have an amazing relationship for the rest of your life.
Now, James, you're actually going to be starting a TV show very soon. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Very soon we're going to be here on my channel, starting a program called The Love Surgery.
Ooh.
So myself...
That sounds deep.
Indeed. Myself and my wife will be here. We've been advising couples and people in relationships for over 10 years now, and we'll be here sharing our experiences and helping couples to make their relationships work. Whether you're married, whether you're not, whether you're single, and you want to prepare for a good relationship. I mean, sometimes if we learn from other people, they say that intelligence is seeing other people making mistakes and you not making them yourself. So if you can learn from this program and hopefully when you have someone, if you're single, you can avoid these problems, I'm sure that, you know, the program will be very helpful for you.
How long have you married yourself?
Myself?
Yes.
We'll be celebrating 11 years.
Did you forget?
You had to think about that.
No. We'll be celebrating 11 years in 1 week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So 11
So you don't
years.
want to do a dedication or anything?
I'll leave the dedication.
I said I would do this to him before and he said, I'm not going to do any dedication.
I will leave the dedication for when we start the program.
Oh, that's really sweet. Okay then. So let's just talk about we've got a couple of minutes left, I believe. I'm not hearing anything in my ear. So one of the things that you did mention, or one of you mentioned, was the financial part, because that is another top reason why people do get divorced. Now, why is it that you both think that the financial part has such a big impact on a marriage?
It's because everyone needs money to do anything, to either rent a house, to buy a house, to get food. So any lack of it, any problems, it's just so easy to bicker about it and let it be the center of everything, because that's what you need, you know, whether you want a car, new clothes, everything, you need to be able to be stable. So
Although I think some people, like, they can make it on very little money, as long as, but their relationship is really solid. So they can kind of go through the hard times and actually get even closer. So sometimes I think it's a deeper issue than that.
I mean, that's what, if everything gets focused on that, if that then becomes the focus, the issues, instead of what you can actually do together to get through it, to be able to rely on each other and to help one another. Because it could be that one person loses their job, you know, the financial times that we're in, it can happen to anyone. But if you're saying your relationship is only based on money, and the fact that whether you have it or not, then that your relationship is going to live or die by you having that money. If the base of your relationship is whether you're caring about each other and making the other person happy.
So the underlying thing basically is, don't let things come in between your relationship. Whatever the problem is, whether it's finances, whether it's you know, an illness that comes up, whether it's family problems, whatever it is, don't let it drive you apart. That's an opportunity for the, you know, the two of you to get together, to get stronger. Don't feel embarrassed to talk to your partner. Don't feel like a failure if something comes up. Just talk to each other, get closer, use it as an opportunity to, like you said, Lisa, to, you know, to get together and fight for this thing together. Because when a marriage is good, it's such a beautiful thing. And I'm very pro marriage, because, you know, I'm happily married. James, you're happily married. Lisa, you're looking forward to it, because the divorce hasn't put you off, has it?
Not at all.
Because now, you know, you've learned from it, and you're moving on now, and you are looking forward to marriage, because you've seen a lot of good examples of marriage as well. So it can work, it does work. And, you know, if you're getting it wrong, do get some advice. There's plenty of places that you can go to for help. If you want more information about the TV show that James is going to be doing with his wife, if you want to contact him, his details will be on my website as well, which is, what's my website address? ChrissyBshow.tv. I forgot there for a minute there. So all the details will be there as well. So don't keep it to yourself. Please do speak to someone. Well, we have reached the end of the show, guys. Thank you so much for coming on.
It's been a pleasure.
And have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And we'll be back again on Monday with another Chrissy B Show. Bye-bye for now.